Hi guys, it's Sam from Creatively Sam's, and today I've made a couple really sweet versions of sugar-free gelatin. You can use sugar-free, you can use regular. They both taste pretty much identical. You want to see how I did this? Stay tuned. It's coming up next. Okay, what you need is a decent sized bowl to mix all of this up. You either need one large or two small gelatins. Mine are sugar free. Strawberries, bananas, and whipped topping, and of course mine is also sugar free. Okay, and you need water. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix these up according to package directions, and then I'm going to wash these and wash them, dry them, and slice them, and then eventually I'll be slicing these. And we'll be back once I get the gelatin done and ready to go. Okay, since I'm making two small packets, I'm going to need 2 cups of boiling water. And I learned the hard way years ago that you put the water in first and then the gelatin, because it has a tendency to really thicken up and get solid on the bottom if you put the gelatin in first. But I'm going to add that and stir as I'm adding, and that way it does not lump as much. I mean, I've had it lump before, but not as much. And this is one of the ways that I tame that sweet tooth of mine. But I can't have sugar since I am diabetic. But before I was diabetic, I used to make this with the regular gelatin. It was always a nice little dessert. And you can leave this in the bowl. You can, when you're done, you can put this in the fancy serving parfait dishes, whatever. But you stir this for 2 minutes at least to make sure that it's all dissolved. And then I'm going to be putting 2 cups of cold water in here, and I'm going to let the temperature, I'm going to put it in the refrigerator for about a half an hour until it gets nice and cool. Okay, the first dessert that I'm going to make, I'm just going to take half of this, and this has been in the fridge until it's about cold. A little over half an hour. I'm going to set this one aside. And all I'm going to do for this is add the strawberries that have been all sliced up. And I'm going to use plastic again. I'm going to use a spoon, and I'm going to get this all stirred up. And I'm going to come back and check this every half hour until it's solidified. Every time I check it, I'm going to give it a stir, because if you don't do that, all this fruit will just sit on the top. You'll have plain gelatin on the bottom with fruit on the top. And you want this to be like a salad so that it's all mixed together. Okay, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator and let that chill, and on to the next. Okay, I've got the other half of the Jell-o and the sugar-free Cool Whip. Like I said, I'm diabetic, so I don't have sugar in my house very often. You can use regular, and this turns out exactly the same. And I've got my electric mixer, and I'm going to put roughly half of this package in here. And I'm just going to whip this up for about 2 minutes until it all gets foamy. Okay, it's all nice and fluffy. And this gives it a really creamy flavor. And I'm just going to put some of these in, just going to put some of it in these little ramekin dishes for dessert. And I'm just going to put the rest of it in the refrigerator, because these are going to be for dinner. And of course, this is going to be for my snacks. So I'm going to put this in the refrigerator for several hours, and when it's done, I'll show you what happens to them. Okay, the first one is done. And you can see how it's all pretty much mixed up, and I only had to stir this about 3 times. And if I let it go a little longer, it's going to be completely solid, and that's fine, because this is what happens as soon as you lift the spoon from it. And of course you can have it like that, or you can add the Cool Whip. And of course, you know me, I've got to have the extra sweet. Oh, it's out of this world. Okay, that's the first one. Now let's get on to the second one. Okay, this one I whipped again when it was a few minutes, maybe 15 minutes later, when it started to gel up really good, and because of that, I don't know if you can see that, but it didn't separate like a lot of the times it will. But this, making it this way, it all depends on how much and how long you you blend this. You can have it like that, or do what of course I'm going to do. Add just a little bit more. And of course I'm going to give this one a little taste. That is so good. It's so fluffy. It's almost like eating sweet air. It is really good. So both of these gelatin recipes you can make with regular Jell-o or sugar-free. And they're not real expensive. They're not hard to make. But they are a people pleaser. Something tells me I'm going to be having both of these gone even before dinner. So if you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and happy creating, everyone.